I'm not sure that you are aware of this. I'm not even certain that you will agree with me, but there are many people who will agree that of all the characters in the Bible, Jacob is the one who is the most corrupt of all characters. When I was in seminary at Duke and would travel from class to class and hear professors talk about these Old Testament stories, they never got to Jacob without referring to him almost universally. It was like they'd had a little meeting and decided on the word, as a scoundrel. Jacob was a scoundrel. You know, he learned that from his family. You know the story, Isaac and Rebekah. They're at odds over these two twins, Jacob and his brother Esau. Jacob's the youngest. He's not the one that's supposed to get the birthright from his father. But when it comes time for him to pass that blessing on to his children, Isaac, of course, knows it has to be Esau, and you know the story. He tricks his brother. He goes in and pretends, because his father is nearly blind, he pretends. And not long after he leaves his father, because Esau swears he's going to kill him, not long after that, he meets up with his uncle Laban. And he falls in love, and he wants to marry Rachel, one of Laban's daughters. And he gets tricked. The tables get turned on him. And on the wedding night, Laban gives him his oldest daughter, Leah, instead of Rachel. Now, Jacob decides he'll trick Laban. And when he finally catches up with him, he realizes that Jacob has gathered more of his flocks of animals through trickery than was fair. And so what does Laban do? Laban sends him out. And finally, on this night in question that we heard the scripture read this morning, when Jacob is left alone because he sends his wife and his children across the ford of Jabbok, if you were meeting up with an enemy, traveling with your family, and you were the head of the family, the ruler, the king, whomever, and you weren't sure whether the person ahead of you was friendly or foe, it was a common practice to send your family, your wife and your children and your servants ahead of you. Because if the person ahead of you was an enemy and would likely slaughter all of your family, at least you would be saved. Many scholars believe that that's what Jacob was doing. And so I say all of that to say to you very simply, what was it that Jacob was struggling with and wrestling with that night alone as he encountered this messenger, this servant, this angel from God? There are more people than me who believe that what Jacob was struggling with was himself. I think one of the most powerful moments in the motion picture industry is in the movie Saving Private Ryan at the very end. When the Private Ryan, now an old man, is kneeling down at the grave of the one who has taken his troops to redeem his life from the battlefield. And he looks up at his wife and says, "Tell me I've lived a good life." And I wonder sometimes if that's exactly what Jacob felt that night. Have you ever had a moment in your life where you wrestled with something